you two as well. I've missed you.
Yeah, I've missed
and
you
we've
too.
missed you, Simon. And I just have to welcome everybody to the Sales Slap podcast.
Are we live?
We're live.
Welcome to the Sales Slap podcast, where we hit you with the hard truths, bold strategies, and expert insights you need to master the art of selling. And who's leading the charge? Meet your hosts, Rick Denley, Simon Hares, and Scott Donald. Get ready for real talk, expert advice, and game-changing strategies. Because in sales, you don't just play, you slap. Let's dive in.
And here we go, diving in with the first Sales Slap podcast of 2026, at least that I'll be on. I don't know what the other two were doing.
The other one was really good, by the way.
It was really good. It was amazing,
Really
Rick.
Yeah.
Really good.
I'm looking forward to it, as today's will be, because as founder of Performance Sales and Training, Julie Hansen helps sales teams at Fortune 1000 companies master virtual sales, executive presence, and presentations, improving their ability to influence buyers and close deals an average of 65% of the time. A pioneer in virtual sales techniques, Julie's book, Look Me in the Eye, using video to build relationships, was recognized as the top sales book in 2021. Her unique approach has delivered breakthrough results for elite sales organizations, including Workday, Amazon, Eli Lilly, and more. Fun fact, Julie worked as a professional actor, appearing in over 75 plays, films, and TV shows, including, Simon, Sex and the City.
No.
We welcome
Yes.
Julie to our incredible podcast today as we get her on the stage right now. Welcome, Julie.
Hello.
Okay, stop. Julie, you were in Sex and the City.
I was, but you had to really pay attention. And before you get too excited, it was a PG rated episode. So sorry to disappoint.
Oh, I didn't hear a word of that.
Oh yeah, it was
Julie,
so
are you on
exciting.
mute?
Pardon me?
We have a celebrity. We have a celebrity on board, gentlemen.
No
Why can't I
celebrity.
hear Julie?
I don't know. We can hear her just fine. So while we're waiting for Simon to figure out his audio, so
He's lost his hearing.
Julie, I did see that you, again, we're going to get into the sales stuff in a second here, but there was one show that you didn't appear on. I think I saw that on your profile.
Oh, yes. So I had, when I first moved to New York, I'm in Denver, and I started out acting as most people do. You start doing stage work, theaters, which is very much like live sales, right? And so when I moved to New York and I had a chance to do more, audition for film and television, I was super excited. I got an audition for a little show called Law and Order.
Yes, that's what it was.
And if you've ever met an actor from New York, almost everyone has a credit for Law and Order on their
Except for Julie.
bio, except for this person. Because I went in there, it was one of my early auditions, and I just went in there doing what I did in theater. Like I just, and then I got in front of the camera and I was like, do I keep looking at it? What do I do with my hands? It was the most awkward, 15 seconds. And they said, okay, thank you, cut, we'll be in touch. And of course, they were not in touch. And I mean, this went on for multiple auditions. Finally, a fellow actor said, if you want to work on camera, you should probably take some classes on it. I was like, oh, okay.
And this is where it started.
Yeah, and that's how it started. I started getting roles, and which is very much what I see in what I saw happening with salespeople, at the start of the pandemic when we basically said, we told our salespeople, go get a camera, get on Zoom, and just be that fabulous person you are in person on camra.
Don't be yourself.
I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but just figure it out, right?
Well, this came up with your statement then, which we love here, which says to us why you still suck on video and what it's costing you, which is, as I say, a little punch in the face, isn't it?
It's a slap. It's, right in line with the podcast here. It's slap in the face.
So why do you say that? Why do you say that about people? Help us understand why that is.
Not to be cruel, but I think we need a little wake up call here, because I think we've done a disservice to a lot of salespeople by equating virtual selling with, just the mechanics and the motions of sales, because virtual selling is more about virtual presence than it is about sales. Because the sales mechanics, the motions don't really change that much. You still have a value proposition. You still have a presentation to deliver. It's just technical at that point. And that's what most people were taught after the pandemic, that this is, virtual selling. Oh, I've had virtual selling now. Well, have you really though? Because if you haven't learned how to connect with people through the camera and make them feel heard and seen and understood, and appear as credible and engaging as you are in person, you have not had a proper virtual selling introduction.
No.
So, Julie, why do you think, so beyond, just going to seem obvious, but what's the biggest difference? So people in real life, people virtually, what do you see as the biggest challenge with people making that transition to being all the things you just described, engaging and trustworthy and all those things in a virtual environment versus in person?
Well, a couple of challenges. I mean, there's some challenges that just in adopting some new skills that people don't know how to do it. Like, I don't have to tell you, and I've said this a million times, is you have to look at the camera if you want people to feel like you're listening or you are credible. But knowing that doesn't improve things, right?
Right.
If you don't know if you don't have a way to learn how to do that, that starts to develop that muscle memory, because the last thing I want you to do is to be on a call where you need to be fully present and thinking about, oh, I need to look at the camera. Oh, am I in frame? Am I gesturing out here? Are they too fast? Do I look nervous? No, you don't want to be thinking about that. So,
Right.
Having just, the antidote is taking the time to learn that, doing the practice in meetings that don't matter, and building that muscle memory. And
I
so
love
that's
that muscle memory.
I mean, looking at the camera, it's so many people don't do it even on their phone. They still look at the little picture of themselves when they're on there. But when I'm training people to present using video, the thing that I try to get across to them is that if you've got 12 people on your call with you and you're looking at the camera, you actually have the ability to hold eye contact with every single person at the same time, which is something you cannot do when you are in person with those 12 people.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest advantages of video that we don't realize. Also, I think and one of the mistakes that I see people making is they think, well, I need to look and see what these people are thinking, and so instead you're trying to read the body language of 12 people. Let me just tell you this, you are never going to be able to get the right person at the right time when they have a reaction that is meaningful. You're not going to be able to do it. Your time is better spent looking at the camera, making everybody feel heard and seen.
Yeah.
And it also makes you look very, nervous and distracted. It just does such a damage. So yes, it's one of the, beautiful things about the camera, and, it's hard to find those a lot of times, but that is one of them.
Yeah. And people are still nervous of the camera, aren't they? You still see people who will join meetings and still not put their camera on, or they just sit in a corner in bad lighting looking like they're in some sort of witness protection program. And it really is just bonkers, to be honest with you. But
it is bonkers.
It is. But I remember when the pandemic came about and everybody started doing this. Prior to the pandemic, I was using video calls, constantly using things like Skype and FaceTime.
Right.
And talking about Skype is like talking about Friends Reunited, isn't it now? It seems ridiculous. But I was doing it because I simply didn't have time to travel all around the country to go to meetings, because it's just me and my business. So video made sense. And people would say, oh, I don't think that'll catch on. No one's going to like it. Suddenly everyone's dying in the world and we're all bloody doing it. But we're doing it as best we can. And to your point earlier, which is we were never shown. So we made it up. And
right, exactly. You learned from your manager who read an article on how to, look, appear confident on camera, and I think you should do this. And that's why there's a lot of people feel like they've checked that box. Oh, our team did, virtual selling. Did they though? Did they?
Yeah.
And then I get in with companies, and you'd be surprised, like Fortune 500 companies, and you would think that they have a certain standard for how people show up. And I don't mean standard in terms of they all have the same background or, sometimes they have that figured out. But the difference in just their framing, how they're lit, how they interact on camera is huge.
Yeah.
And they either don't know or they've decided it doesn't matter. And I think that's the biggest problem, is that people have decided, because it's uncomfortable, we've taken this as, well, it doesn't matter because my message is so strong and I'm, a good salesperson and I know what I'm doing.
Mm.
And, so they dismiss it because it's too, uncomfortable, or they make these adaptations to make it comfortable, which is even more dangerous. So one of those is, one of the most uncomfortable things that people express about being on camera is those silences, right? The pauses. Like they're forever. And so instead of sitting through them, which is very important to give the other person time to think, to allow them to answer a question, to regain their attention, instead of sitting through that, they rush through it. And that's why everyone is speed talking on video and monologuing.
So Julie, help me understand, because I know we're trying to mimic an in-person meeting over video. Are you saying that everything should be similar to how it would be at the in-person meeting? Or are there some differences that we can even leverage based on the fact that we are on video with somebody? I love including a short personalized video along with proposals when I send them. That's very specifically addressed to that person. And just a one-liner. Yeah, Simon, I know you're big on these too, and Scott with your post. And it's just a one-liner that says, I prepared this brief video just for you. And, it's 100% clicks because everybody's like, oh, that's great. Yeah. They really appreciate it. But what's the difference between being in person and on video, being virtual? And are there some advantages that we can take, that we can take and use?
Well, so there's two different ways to answer this question. So the difference, yes, there are differences being on camera versus in person, because you want the outcome to be the same. You want to give the same appearance and credibility and confidence as you do in person. But to do that, you have to show up a little differently on camera to get that same effect. So you want that as the outcome, but there's a different way to get there than how you do in person, which is very natural, because we've been taught since we were babies. It's very natural to look at someone when you're listening, or we're always trying to connect with people through their eyes, right? That's innate. And so we're in an environment that is nothing is innate. We have to manually sort of override that.
Okay.
And so it's very different. We also have to show up, if I show up with the same energy I do in person, the camera is already going to take some of that energy away. So I'm not showing up as the same person. I'm also seated, which is maybe not how I usually interact with people in person. And so my energy's low. It goes down. My energy's low. My expressions kind of disappear. My voice gets low energy. So you're not showing up as the same person, right? You think you are. That's the mistake. And so if we don't account for that and make those adjustments, then you're at a disadvantage.
I like that point, because actually, if we all stood up now, because Scott, myself, Julie, you're sat down, Rick stood up. I wonder if we all stood up, whether the dynamic and energy in this podcast.
Let's do everybody now. Can we do that without going on? Everybody stand up for a minute.
This is very fun.
Viewers, no, let's get everybody to stand up for a minute. Come on, let's get going. And
okay, hold on. I have
as well.
I have to do this so I can stand up and still be on camera.
Feel that more energetic? Yes.
I've been told, Julie, that when we stand up and when we're on video, it's like when I'm on stage, and my speaking coach will tell me, you have to be a little more dramatic. People want that from you. You have to exude that energy more than you would in person, as I'm trying to do now as an example, because the camera takes a lot of that away from you. And that's what you were mentioning, wasn't
Exactly. Exactly. So it takes that away.
it? Right.
And, and so part of that, is warming up and making sure you're like, I always like to do like an over the top exercise, which is just going bigger than you imagine. Because most of us just operate kind of awkwardly stand. I'm going to sit down.
I know, I'm going to sit down as well. But I'm only sitting down because Scott is desperate to sit down. And he's my friend, and I can't bear the fact that he's just sat down.
Am I good here?
Keep that
Am I? Oh,
hello. Yeah.
So we need to exude a little more energy when we're on camera because it takes it away, just as it adds 20 pounds or so, correct?
Right, because it flattens everything out, and that includes your energy. So we can't do much about the 20 pounds, but
we've all seen that episode of Friends,
about the energy.
Yeah.
The other thing about the energy is we've learned this in sales that mirroring other people, right? It's your prospect is more subdued. You want to mirror that and be more serious and intentional. If you do that on video, it is going to be the blandest, most unmemorable conversation that person will ever have. Because most people have a very, again, seated on a video call where that person is more in receiving mode, like especially if you're the instigator of the call. They're going to have a very flat affect. They're going to have what I call resting business face. They're not going to be the Energizer Bunny over there, like cheering you on. If you match that, it's just goes downhill from there.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
No, I agree.
You can't go by the other person's energy or their facial expressions because they're not going to give you what you're looking for or what's going to help you.
Right.
All right, Marcello, you calm down now. We see your comment. It's okay.
Yeah, we see your comment. Yeah, and you're all excited about
But I want to be clear. I want to be clear for Marcello and everybody that pajama pants are still pants. So let's just get that out of the way right now.
No, they're not. So we want to bring humor, and I think people get to know the Sales Slap hosts here, that we have fun as well. And prior to even coming on this call, there's back and forth banter going on.
Banter.
Is that part of being yourself on camera as well? Because you just mentioned about mimicking, the person sitting across from you, which, I don't always think is a good thing. I'm told that when I come into a room and I'm with people, as I know Simon are and Scott, Julie, yourself too, you bring energy and they like that. If I mimic them, and as you say, we've just got that humdrum business face going.
Resting business face. I love that.
Right, isn't it?
Writing that one down, people.
You'll see our RBF. Yep.
You know what's interesting is that, so again, first of all, there's two things here, Julie. You're making me question everything I do now. I'm like, oh, am I doing this right? So that's not, I'm just teasing you. But so, I've done a lot of podcasts. I've done a lot of videos for my own business. I've done videos where I'm like walking the dog and taking a video. And a few weeks ago, I had my marketing friend here to do a video, and there was lights set up and microphones, and it was like a 1.5 minute clip about Scott. And I could not get over how uncomfortable it was in that setting. And I'm thinking, I do this all the time. It was so weird because almost every other dynamic I'd been in, but now if there's this camera and the lights, and it's like, okay, now do your bit about who is Scott. And we looked at it afterwards and go, wow, this really sucks.
You did my Law and Order audition is what you did.
Well, I don't know.
Out, he's got a gun.
Oh no!
Well, what do you think from what Scott just mentioned to us? Is it a practice makes perfect situation? Get in front of the screen more. Record.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah. So what is it about that dynamic, or somebody who feels comfortable normally? It wasn't that I froze up. It's just that maybe to your point, it wasn't me. It was like I was reciting, and it wasn't comfortable or natural. And so did this come back to this notion of muscle memory and practice and building those on-camera fundamentals you talk about?
Well, let me ask you this. How was the outcome?
It was poopy.
Okay. So you were accurate that affected.
Oh no! Like, listen, my buddy and I both watched the video, and we were both trying to be polite, but basically said, you know what, this was hot garbage. And
is that the one you asked for feedback on, and we gave it to you?
Sorry.
Is that the one you asked for feedback on? We gave it to you?
I think actually, you know what? I think it was. It was I was standing in the office here, and I thought, okay, this looks like it sucks, but am I being overly critical? And
You should send it to Julie and see what Julie says.
Oh no, you know what? But I guess
kind.
To the fundamental of this is that, so why would I do this? I'll go for a walk. What was it about that dynamic in particular? Camera sitting here, me standing there. I guess it was a different scenario, but in your experience, why is that different than maybe what I've done in other scenarios? Why would I have resting business face and not have all of my quote effervescence coming through on camera?
Well, because you're in a more high stakes situation, and so you've got someone there who's filming you, and there's pressure, and it's not any different than, a salesperson who has has a meeting with an executive, which is nerve-wracking. And that's when all our, especially we don't have any trained behaviors, go out the window. Right.
Right.
And so that doesn't bring out the best in us. And it's partly just, having that muscle memory developed enough that gets you through that, warming up, getting, physically getting all that anxiety out, and
I need to do
and
some of
also
this.
just mentally, like, well, what happens is, and I learned this as an actor, and it's been so valuable, is when I'm self-conscious and I'm, it's because I'm thinking about me and I'm thinking about how I feel.
Yes.
Now, if I switch that focus and I just think, I want to make you feel like, this is, this excited or motivated. Yes. And then my body and my mind gets into it, and I don't have time to take my emotional temperature. Like, oh, I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot of elements sort of working together to be prepared for those kind of high pressure situations. But that's
I like this example, and so and I see that Rick put up something from Yvonne here. This notion of muscle memory. And I think, so this goes back to what I want to call like the fundamentals of sales. So I really love this notion. So first of all, I'm curious, where do you, how is it that you came able to apply the term muscle memory to this virtual presence piece, and how can people gain that muscle memory?
Well, I think it's just when you're trying to combat an innate trait, if you don't have muscle memory, you're going to be fighting it. It's never going to come naturally, right?
Yeah.
So it's like learning to ride a bike. So, at first it's awkward. You'd fallen off. You think, oh, I can't do this, and pretty soon you're riding it, and you're just thinking about where you're headed. You're not thinking about the mechanics of riding the bike. So it's really like anything that we have to learn. It's a skill.
It's like when people say, what do I do with my hands? When we talk to people who are learning to present, they say, what do I do with my hands? And you go, do you know what? Hold a pen and stroke the pen and feel the pen. And it won't be a distraction, because people expect you to hold something, and that's fine. Your energy will go into the pen. And then what will happen is you'll become more animated.
Well, you don't have to be all about the pen, of course.
We're all about the pen. Yeah,
we don't know what's happening with the pen.
Yeah.
That's a good question, too. Now, I do want to bring on this question from one of our viewers, Yvonne. Thank you, Yvonne. Any suggestions on how to present slides that take over your screen and still have prominent personal on-camera attention? Because earlier you did say you've got to connect through that camera. Now you're presenting slides as well. How do we go about handling that?
Well, that was a whole chapter in my book, because it really is the crux of a lot of what salespeople do. And what happens is, if you think about it, when we are presenting in person, we have to sort of do some awkward things. Like, you can't turn around and look. You've got this, the presentation behind you. You can't read from the slides, But and we've gotten better at that in person. And suddenly virtually, there's our slides right in front of us. We can just read it and look at it with our audience, and that's great. It's not great. You're still reading your slides. So you want to have, your video on, because people are going to look at the slide at first. They're going to kind of get what they need, and then they're going to look to you to bring it to life. To what does that mean for you? What is, what's the crux of this?
I like
and
that.
If you're not there, if your head is down in the slides, then they're they're done, they've kind of tuned out by that point. So
and a lot of us here do virtual presentations. I just got off a 2-hour workshop yesterday that was coast to coast with salespeople and leaders. And it was interesting because they said, well, we want to do it on Teams. And I'm used to Zoom, but I said, that's fine. I'll adapt to it. And sure enough, there was an opportunity that it showed my slides and then it kept me in a small window in the upper corner, because I felt it was very important when I was presenting the information that they see me as well, that they see my inflections, that they see my intentions.
It is.
And that I see them too. So we had that interaction. So I thought that was really important. Now, your book, as Simon says, is brilliant, which we really enjoy so much. I have a question for you. I know, Simon, you said you bring it to all your courses.
I take it on every presentation skills course I can, because there's no fat on this at all. It's all stuff you can use straight off the book. It's a little book and it's packed with really, really good stuff. I'm waiting for a sequel. I know there's going to be one, isn't there? So yes. And so there's, it's going to be great.
So Julie, here's what I want to ask. Many viewers say that your book gives leaders, and I love to focus on the leadership side of things, as you know, gives leaders counterintuitive but practical techniques for building trust, empathy, and authenticity on video. Now, qualities that often get lost in the virtual communication, like you said. From your perception, then, what is the single biggest leadership advantage a leader gains when they learn to connect through the camera, as you say?
Well, I think any advantage you get when you connect with people is they're going to feel more like you're on their side. They're going to be more inspired or motivated, or whatever your conversation is, the goal is, right? They're going to want to work hard for you. They're going to feel like they can trust you with problems that they might not have shared if they didn't. And, just all the benefits of being trusted by people and feeling approachable, right? Mm-hmm. And I think so many people don't feel approachable, leaders, especially virtually.
Yeah. Can I jump on something around trust? Because trust is something that comes up in sales all the time. Uh-huh. And one of my biggest bugbears, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong, one of my biggest bugbears within presenting on video or being on video is the virtual background, or the ability to blur. Because when you put a virtual background on, if I put a virtual background on me, I end up looking like a baked bean because it cuts off my ears and I look completely ridiculous. Right. I mean, it's not flattering, it's just hideous. But I noticed as well that when I've presented and talked to potential customers with a background on, somehow their behavior to me is slightly different. But if I turn my background off and they can see everything, then I'm not hiding anything. And when you hide something, you suggest something that is mistrustful. You've got something to hide. And during the pandemic, we saw our cats walking across our keyboard, dogs coming in the kids, our underwear drying on the radiator, all of those things. And, suddenly we brought in virtual backgrounds and to hide things. And now whenever I do stuff, I've always got my background on, and Scott's always got his background, his normal background on. Rick always does as well. And you've got yours open as well. And I just think that we shouldn't be scared of showing and we can control what we show.
I love
but
this.
I think when we put a background on, it does suggest we're hiding something.
It does.
In sales, trust is everything.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And that is, there is a study on that found that virtual backgrounds are, do sort of hint at what are you hiding, right? Now, I just want to be fair in that some people have no choice, right? And if you don't have a choice, then absolutely, a virtual background. But make sure that it's, you're not on, in this office that you would never be in. Like, I would say, just make it like a realistic place you would be, right? Yeah. Not on planet Mars or something.
With that beautiful beach.
Hold on, Mars would be an awesome background because I do love. Right, so now you're giving me some ideas.
And perhaps people on Mars don't have ears, so I would fit in.
So you know what? It's all coming full circle.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's all good.
So and I think what people forget, or we just don't actively think about, is, in those first 10 seconds of a call, people are deciding some pretty, big things about you, whether you're confident, whether you're credible, whether they want to hear more from you, which is a pretty big lens to see the whole conversation. So we want to make sure we get those first 10 seconds right, which is, thinking about what do they see? What do people first see when they come on? Did they see a nice, clean, authentic background? Are you well lit? All these basics. Are you framed well? Are you not looking up or looking down at them? Are you making eye contact?
Right.
All those things, and so many salespeople, their heads down because they're watching people come in. They're, they're not framed right. They're, they don't look attentive. They don't look interested. Mm-hmm. And that just sends these cues that people aren't, they're, face it, buyers are looking for reasons to eliminate us. They're not looking for reasons to work with us.
Yeah, true.
So you've already started your call off with sort of a negative, and then they continue to show these behaviors that don't show credibility, that sabotage their credibility. They don't look at the camera, right? And we tend to trust people who make direct eye contact. Mm-hmm. They don't. One of the biggest factors that goes into credibility and trusting someone is, are they a good listener? Do they make you feel heard? That active listening, and active listening is terrible on video. I mean, because what do we do when we listen on video? We look at their image, which, you might as well just take your phone out, because that's what I think you're doing. I mean, I know we rationalize and go, well, they know that I'm looking. No, they don't care. They're not thinking about why you're doing what you're doing. They're not your mother, right? They're not looking to make excuses for you. Yeah. All they know is how it feels. And it feels like you are not interested. And then the other thing they do is they'll say something like, yes, it's great to see you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Your face doesn't look like it's great to see me, right? There's this incongruency. And when your behavior says one thing and your words say something else, we don't trust that. And we see that all the time on video. This is going to save you $1 million.
Match the words up, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Let me ask you, Julie, as we move along here, what's the one service, because you provide so many great services to people in this area, what's the one that you want to share with people that they can get in touch with you to help them? Because that's what it's all about in the coaching world. And that, what's one good service you can help our viewers with?
Well, thank you for asking. I think that, I developed a number of virtual presence courses and on demand and coaching, but what really kind of works for most people transformatively is my virtual executive presence, which is an assessment, because most people don't know what they're doing or what they're not doing and why it matters, right? And so to review someone's video and say, okay, these behaviors make you look less credible. These behaviors make people feel like you're not interested in what they're saying. This is why people are disengaging. And then we get to work on those specific behaviors together, coaching. And then they get a final assessment and you get to see how much you've improved. Mm-hmm. And most people are, the average improvement of all the folks I've worked with is around 65, 67% improvement in how credible they appear, how confident, how engaging they are.
Fantastic.
And they didn't even know. They thought, oh, I'm fine. I think I'm fine. Yeah. The number of sales teams I get on and they're like, yeah, I'm fine. I've been doing this for a while. I'm comfortable. Yeah. I'm comfortable.
That's the alarm bell.
It's the alarm bell, because when you think about it, like they're comparing their inner comfort to external impact. Like It's not about you feeling comfortable. It's about your audience feeling something, right? Something positive, hopefully, right. Like motivated or excited or
like that.
So that comfort is not a good measure. And if you're going by that, which most people are, they're like, oh, I'm comfortable on camera now. Ding, ding, ding. That means nothing other than you're probably bringing less energy, and you're probably not making a very strong impact at all. And you're probably doing all the things that affect your credibility with them as well, which is, it takes work to practice to, look at the camera at those key times where it matters.
Right. And how is that differentiating them from everybody else on
Right,
video?
exactly. Again, the reasons to eliminate you.
The reason to eliminate. I love that. Do you know, I'm definitely taking that away. Your internal comfort measured against your external impact. That is just, that's great. I mean, all those people,
and it's natural to do. We're like, I'm comfy. It must be good. It's like, is that a measurement of success in any other skill? Right? We don't say that about athletes. Like, well, I didn't win, but I was so comfortable.
Yeah. You get a participation.
That's great. Your coach is going to really love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I love the sports analogy. So you must have played, or you must be a sports person of some sort to be using all these sports analogies.
Am I using a lot of them? Really?
Well,
please say you're not, because he'll go to hockey. Yeah. Please don't let him start on
No,
hockey.
what we talked about before, you mentioned that in your beautiful Colorado, you're cycling, you're out hiking as well.
Yes, we're always on the move here.
I'll do this really, really quickly. So this whole idea of comfort and athletes, we admire athletes performing at the highest level. We admire teams performing at the highest level. And they're always they're never comfortable. So I just think that this analogy and the muscle memory, right? Athletes talk about, in the heat of the moment, just responding to what they've been practicing. So you just react. And I've always loved the analogy of sports and selling in terms of having a process, having skills, always wanting to get better, not getting comfortable. So, these analogies make me think that you've either you love watching sports or you've loved playing them. So.
Yeah, and both. Yeah, skiing, biking. I love watching football. We got big football going here in the States now.
Is there skiing in Colorado? Since when?
Well, there isn't now because we don't have any snow. So
well, you got to come north then, where we've got lots of it.
We're going to share.
Continue on.
And now the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for Ricky's recap. Take it away, Ricky.
All right, we've got Ricky's recap now.
It just hits you in the face. You don't see it coming. It's just
bam!
It's a slap
Rick
in the
gets bored
face
of turning it on.
Yeah, it's a slap.
So what a great time we've had here with Julie. Some of the things that she talked about to help us out. First off, virtual selling and presence is not virtual sales. They're different things. We need to be sure that we are connecting through the camera and bring high energy, higher than we would even usually have in person, because the camera takes that away. It dumbs it down somehow, like adding 20 pounds, apparently. It's a mistake to try and read everybody in the Zoom call like this. Speak to the camera and you'll be speaking to each of them directly. Now, one point that was brought up as well is that if you want to build that trust through the camera and that authenticity, don't have a blurred background. Show what you've got around you and make sure it looks half decent as well. And more than anything else, make them feel something. That's what Ricky's recap was all about. And
that's
what
a good
we got
one.
for this today. And I just want to thank Julie for coming on. Julie, you've been a great guest on our show here. Where can people get a hold of you to learn more?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Julie Hansen Sales Training, or my website has all my programs and at juliehansen.live.
Right. And by all means, where can they get your book?
Oh, yes. So the book is on Amazon. So just go look for Look Me in the Eye. There's another Look Me in the Eye, and it's about Asperger's. So don't get that one.
You want to learn about Asperger's. You could as well. So.
They both sound delightful.
They do. And
it's probably very good. Yeah.
So. Well, that's been
also
great.
available on any of my presentation skills courses.
That's right. You can just go to Scott. He's carrying around a case of them at all times.
Absolutely incredible. You've been a great guest here. I know people will reach out to you.
Thank you. This is awesome.
My pleasure.
Brings me to moving on to our next one. Scott, who's coming up next on this?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to
look hard with that.
I have to look really carefully here. So our next guest, again, this is going to be a tough one to follow up on. We know that, right?
I hope so.
Oh, wait. Our next one is Fred Copestake from the UK.
Aha.
And Fred,
That's
yeah, I know.
marvelous. Man in an orange.
You know what? We have to have a certain amount of UK flavor in this just to satisfy that group. But
You
Fred
don't think
talks.
Simon brings enough for us?
Fred, no, I
I
don't.
just want more Canadian.
Fred talks about ethical selling, so this is gonna be a gooder, right?
It'll
Fred?
be a nice tie-in.
That is awesome.
Fred is awesome.
Viewers,
That is
thanks
great.
so much for being on the Sales Slap.
Thank you,
today.
Julie.
Julie, thank you so much. I know people are going to reach out to you for more skills in selling and being great on camera as well. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for attending the Sales Slap podcast. Feel free to reach out to your hosts, Rick, Simon, and Scott, and our guests from this episode for more information. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Oh, look, Dean
Thanks,
Carroll was
everyone.
on. Hey,
And
Dean.